traffic, please use the word brake, and the net will yield for your traffic and assist in any way we can. District 1 Aries is part of the ARRL and the Virginia Section ARES program. This net meets weekly on Thursday at 1900 hours on the 146880 repeater or the 145430 repeater. Both use a negative offset and a PL tone of 74.4 Hz. The purpose of this net is for training and announcements for the amateur radio community with an emphasis on emergency communication. We ask that all participating stations follow standard net procedures that would be used during an active emergency net. There is no requirement to be an Aries member. All amateurs who are within range of this repeater, regardless of location or affiliation, with proper license class, are invited and encouraged to participate in this net. This is KO4. You are all with the District 1 Aries net. Before we get started, some general housekeeping. This is a directed net, which means stations must be acknowledged by the net control station before proceeding with comments or discussion. I will be taking check-ins in 4 groups: mobile stations, then portable stations, then Aries and MCOM officials, and then all other stations. One feature of this net is the discussion of the day. The discussion of the day is intended to be a way to learn more about amateur radio, emergency preparedness, and general safety, so we hope everyone will participate. The topic this week is HT. How many handy talkies do you own, and how would you get the best signal out of your HT? What antenna would you use? What tips and tricks might you offer? If the only radio you had to use was your HT, which one would you reach for, and what antenna would you use with it? I personally have only one HT, my Bosang UV5R, which I've had for a little over 2 years, and I'm curious about that too. Should I own more than one HT? And if so, what's the point? How do you find your next HT? What am I looking for? What should I expect to improve by acquiring another HT? So anyway, the topic this week is HT, handy-talkies. Seems like a lot of folks have a whole bunch of HTs, but I'm pretty sure they can only use one at once. All right, let's get started with check-ins. When checking in, I only need your call sign phonetically and your first name. I will get your location and a received signal report when I call back for comments. Let's start with mobile stations. Are there any mobile stations wishing to check in? I need your call sign and first name. Please call now.
I wonder why we're doing this out of order tonight. It would seem that if we're doing topics on HTs and antennas, we would normally check in portable stations first, which is incorporating HTs, then moving on to mobile, which we don't have any apparently, and then general check-ins, besides whatever officers check in tonight.
No mobile stations heard. Are there portable stations wishing to check in? Remember, I just need your call sign phonetically and your first name. Portable stations, please call now. Foxtrot, Mike, Ron, Romeo, Oscar, November. Okay, net control recognizes K4EXX, Don, and KB6FFM, Ron. Let's ask for Aries and MCOM officials next. Are there any Aries or other MCOM officials wishing to check in? Please call now. All right, let's move on to general check-ins. All other stations wishing to check in to the District 1 Aries Net, please call now, providing me with your call sign phonetically and your first name.
Time for the pile up.
Kilo, Mike 4, India, November Alpha, Pedro Newport News. This is Kilo, Quebec 4, Lima Echo X-Ray, Don. Kilo Oscar 4, Kilo Alpha Delta, Randy. This is Kilo November 4, Victor Alpha, Michael. All right, net control acknowledges KM4INA, Pedro, KQ4LEX, Don, KO4KAD, Randy, KN4ZA, Michael. This is Kilo Oscar 4, Uniform Oscar Romeo. Now it may be that if there are stations who are distant from the repeater or who are on low power radios,
HTs.
it might be important for you to key up before the squelch tail ends. So I'm going to call for check-ins again, and please give me your call sign phonetically and then your first name. Anybody else wishing to check in to the District 1 Aries Net, please call now. This is Kilo Oscar 4 Romeo November Tango David. And Kilo Romeo Jim. This is Whiskey 4 Bravo Papa Sierra, Brian. Okay, net control acknowledges KO4RNT David, W4PKR, Jim. W4BPS, Brian. Let's see. We're going to go to the top of the list now. We're going to start with portable stations, and we'll come back and ask for additional check-ins later. Just as a reminder, tonight's topic is HT. How many handy-talkies do you own, and why do you have so many or so few? In my case, I have only one. It's a UV5R Dothan, 8-watt version, and I only have one because I haven't been convinced I need to upgrade. It's done a good job for me. I know it's not as sensitive as it could be as far as picking up stations, but yeah, it's been in the James River, and it's been in Swift Creek Reservoir, and you just dry it out, and it's ready to go again. So yeah, the antennas I have are of course the rubber duck that came with the radio. It also came with a knockoff Nagoya whip about 15 inches long, and I recently purchased a genuine Nagoya whip for the HT and a genuine headphone roll-up J-pole. So, yeah. How many HTs do you have? Why do you have that number? And how would you best get your signal out if that was the only radio you had to use? I would probably use my roll-up J-pole if I could, and of course get to as high a point as possible. So we're going up to the top of the list to Don, K4EXX. Good evening, Don. Please share your comments.
Good evening, Scott. Everybody else there. Doing okay tonight. Got a good signal over here in North Carolina. I've got 5 handy HTs. 2 of them only work on the General Mobile Radio service, so I don't even know why I'm on it. I guess I got a license to talk on that frequency, so I'm on a couple of radios. My favorite radio, my favorite handy talkie is the Hit Radio 88. It has a maximum output of 10 watts, and I have an 86 Hit Radio, and his maximum output is 7 watts. And I was just using rubber duckies before. And they spent penalties on it. But over the weekend, I ended up getting a beautiful antenna put up on my kitchen. A couple of great guys came over and helped me out and put an antenna up for me. And that's what I'm using on my 8 right now.
Sounds exactly the same as it did last time he was on the air, or at least last week.
All right, this is KO4UOR, net control for the District 1 Aries net. Thank you, Don. I appreciate that. And yeah, I'm glad that your new antenna is allowing you to get into this repeater reliably. There is a moderate amount of noise on your signal, and yeah, I'm going to have to look and see what your elevation is there and figure out if there's anything between you and this antenna. I mean, the repeater's antenna. But,
It's about
yeah,
fang.
thank you for that. So Don's got 5, but 2 of those are GMRS radios. Next, we're going to go down to Ron, KD6FFM. Ron, please tell us about your HT collection.
This is Kilo Delta 6, Foxtrot, Mike. I have it loud and clear. I have a Alico Delta Juliet 160. I've had it for 11 years. It was given to me as a gift. And I'm happy. I use rubber ducky, and I managed to get in this 900 check-ins, only missed 12 of them. And I work inside my apartment, so it's kind of hard to get out on the 8/8 repeater. This one's a little bit easier. And sometimes when I'm in a bunch about just rotating, you may get a better signal. But this is the only HT I have, and but I have a newer one. I can't even pronounce it, but I don't like it because. And it's too except the settings here. On this radio, the settings are all set up.
I don't like it either.
Okay, thank you for those comments, Ron. You started to break up there at the end of your transmission. We heard about the Alinco and how much you like it. You mentioned another HT that you can't pronounce the name of, and you said that there's a reason you don't like it. And
It showed
we
itself.
couldn't hear what you said. What is the reason that you don't like that other, I guess, Chinese radio?
Scott, I think it's obvious.
I'm sorry about that. I might have unseen accidentally. It's good radio. It's like outstanding radio. It's just I have a hearing problem, so it's hard to hear through the speaker on that radio. And this speaker on this radio, is a lot better. And this radio is probably over 20 years old. I'm not sure.
Very good. Well, the Alinco is doing a great job for you. You've got a nice strong signal. Very little noise on your signal. Next, we'll go down to Newport News to visit with Pedro, KM4INI. Good evening, Pedro. Please share your comments, sir.
Good evening, Scott. Sorry about the late answer, but good evening, everyone. This is KM4INA, Pedro, Newport News. Nice to hear you, Scott. Always a pleasure, and I'm glad to be here. And I got, 3 UV5R, 2 UV9 plus, and all of them with the Nagoya upgrade antenna. And then purchased 2 different Romeo Alpha Delta Tango Echo Lima rat tail, and it's a 6-band. I get to hear the Newport News Airport and stuff like that. You know, you got the AM for listening to aircraft and stuff like that on weather channels. But there is some upgrades out there that you can do, and you can do a couple miracles. So I purchased those just to try it out and see what I can get out of them. I will say 73 and back to you. That control from KM4NA. 73 goal.
Thank you very much, Pedro. We appreciate you joining us. You've got a nice strong signal. Just a little bit of noise on it, but 100% readable. And those Nagoya antennas are doing a good job for you. Let's see. Next, we're going to go to Ashland for Don, KQ4LEX. Good evening, Don. Please share your comments with the net.
You're welcome.
KO4UOR, KQ4LEX. Good evening, Scott, and everyone on the net. Scott, thank you for running the net. You're doing a fantastic job with it, and I like your subject matter a lot. I have one HT. It is a Yaesu FT70D, and allegedly it's an upgrade to the Baofeng that you have, because that was one of the questions you asked about. Is there a reason to upgrade, or could there be an upgrade? And to my knowledge, there is one reason to upgrade to something like that would be its capability to do C4 FM. I'm going to take a short break. The second reason, I can't verify for you, but certainly we could test it
possible that it's
Not right now, anyways. Golly.
signal or a signal
I
from
really
greater
would be wired.
Oh God, I don't need
than a Bofang.
I don't need to be wired
So
either.
that's
No.
a possibility for the reason to upgrade. As far as my go-to antenna, I have two really that I have found to perform equally, and I've got a Comet GP3 in the attic that works great, but I also have a N9TAX roll-up J-pole that I've hit a repeater from 26 miles away with that 5-watt HT. The nice thing about the roll-up J-pole and the HT is I have a little go bag that measures, 7 by 9 inches, little canvas go bag that I got on Amazon. And the antenna and the HT and a spare battery all fit inside of it. So that would be my go-to if I really needed to get out somewhere. I think that's all I got on my mind. I'll turn it back to Net Control. This is KQ for LEX.
Okay, Don, thank you very much for those comments. Yeah, digital capability is a good reason to upgrade. And I will say that my second radio is an ICOM 2730A dual band mobile rig. And when I connected that radio to the same antenna I used with my HT, my Bofang, I had a whole new world available to me. A much more capable radio, much more sensitive receiver, and of course, I can transmit with up to 50 watts of power. So, for those of you that have Bofangs or even Chinese radios in general, and then also own Japanese radios, I'd love to know what the comparison is, if there is one at all. Is there no comparison, or have you found that your Japanese HTs might be better made and easier to use, but may have similar receive and transmit characteristics to a Chinese HT? Anyway, this here is KO4UOR, calling the District 1 AresNet. Let's see, we'll go one or two more before I call for additional check-ins. But next on our list is Randy, KO4KAD. How are you tonight, Randy? Please share your comments with the net.
Got 4 more comments before we get to the end of the list.
KO4UOR, this is KO4KAD. Let's see, I'm in Western Henrico and I read you loud and clear, Scott. Thank you for doing it. You always do a good job. Let's see, HTs. I have, looking around here, I have 4 I can put my eyes on. I think I have 5. But, I know I've got 5. I've got 3 UVR or UV5Rs. They all have the Nagoya whips on them. And then I have a TYT TH350 tri-band. And my favorite is my Yaesu FT60. And that thing is just a tank. It is, it's a brick. I mean, it's a solid radio. The bell bangs, like a lot of us, I got those when I first got interested in ham radio and was listening. And then, of course, got my tech license. And they went by the wayside fairly quickly because I had to have more. I really wanted more power. Well,
put an antenna on the roof and ask to put radios in my car or my trucks, and yeah. But if I could only use one, that FT60, I think it definitely has better receive than the Chinese radios. But I may have to go with the TYT just because it's a tri-band. So that would be kind of a tough one for me, especially with, 220 being pretty active around here. I do not have a roll-up cable, and that's something I probably should invest in. So maybe we're going to put that on the list of the never-ending list of ham radio gear. But that's about all I've got, Scott. I'll turn it back over to you. 73 KL4 KAD.
All right, Randy. Thank you very much. Yeah, it sounds like the TYT is a good choice, being a tri-bander, especially if you could only choose one and you know that one works well for you. You'd have one more band than somebody like me with the Bofang dual band radio. All right, it's almost the bottom of the hour, so I am going to call for additional check-ins. This is KO4UOR calling the District 1 AriesNet. Additional stations wishing to check in, I need your call sign phonetically and your first name. Please call now.
Net Control, this is.
CMY. First name is Paul. PAUL. In and out from Gloucester, Virginia.
Net Control, this is. William, Kilo 4 Alpha, Romeo X-Ray.
Okay, Net Control acknowledges Paul in Gloucester. Paul, I only caught the tail end of your call sign.
Oops.
And I wrote down Delta Mike Yankee. Don't know if that's right or not, but would you come back to me with your call sign again, please?
Golf, Michael Yankee, Gloucester, Virginia, in and out.
Okay, Paul, thank you very much for that. And Paul is in and out. There was another station that checked in after Paul and before William, but I was not able to make out your call sign or name. If you'd like to, please relocate maybe, or turn up your power and try again.
Don't use an
the
HT.
station that checked in between Paul and William, please call now.
Delta 4, Yankee Victor, Jefferson, Prince George County.
Thank you for that, Jeff. I got almost all of that. I heard your suffix Yankee Victor, and Jeff in Prince George. That's right. I'll let you correct me when it's your turn. And also acknowledging K4ARX, William.
Not an HT.
Let's go back up to KN4ZA. Michael, good evening, sir. Tell us about your HT collection or the absence thereof, and share your thoughts.
Midlothian, and I'm reading almost everybody tonight loud and clear. Yeah, you have a great subject tonight. All I can say is I have more than one HT. Um, I look at HTs as a little bit of a tool. You know, there's DMR, there's D-Star, there's Fusion, there is high power, there is low power, there's IP67. You know, there's any number of things that would draw you to one HT over another. I buy HTs because I like to learn the programming. I find programming them a challenge, especially some of the DMR stuff. But to that point, there are two radios I have to say that maybe three that I like really well. My FT70 by far is a great sounding radio. I'm like Randy. My TYT-TH 350 tri-band goes with me everywhere I go in the car. I can hook that to my antenna on the car, and I get out everywhere I need to go, and especially with the 220. But my other radio is a Wouxun UV9PX, and this thing has a solid 8-watt output. I've been able to do WinLink with this thing dozens of times, and I do have a N9TAX roll-up. I have several of the N9TAX roll-ups, one in a go bag and two here in the house, upstairs and downstairs, in addition to my J-pole in the attic. So I've done well with the HTs, and I really like the HTs. And it actually be interesting to have one of our nets, either on Wednesdays or Thursdays, to have an HT only net that week, to have everybody give an opportunity to use the HTs and know that maybe signals may or may not be well. You can switch over to a better radio if it's not coming in well, so you can have the net. But it might be fun to test the HTs out, you know, in a more specific net that lets everybody. If it's not working, you can switch over. So anyway, it's a great subject tonight. It's just that I look at HTs like being tools. You need a flathead screwdriver can't always do a Phillips, you know, vice versa and all that. So anyway, I'll pass it back over to you. This is KM4VA, back to net control.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. It sounds like your philosophy might be collect them all, trade them with your friends. No, I'm just teasing. But yeah, you've got good reasons for each of the radios you have in life. The FT70 sounds great. The TYT goes everywhere with you because it's a tri-bander and always gets your signal out. Same thing of the Wouxun UV9PX. Okay, 10 watts. Very nice. All right, next we go to David, KO4RNT. Good evening, David. Please share your comments.
K04UOR, KO4RNT. Name's David, North Chesterfield. I have an FT70 and two new Baofengs because I gave the older one away to a son-in-law. Thinking about getting this ticket. Let me take a second.
Here you are, son. Glad to have you around. Have a Baofeng.
I like the 70, and I also like the RT
You're worth it.
programming software instead of Chirp. Kept trying to use Chirp and killing it. The RT system software seems easier to me, and I have it for everything except the Baofengs, but I'm getting one for the Baofeng. And I'm on my mobile right now, which is new to me, 400, FTM 400, and I like the power, 20 watts, and I get wherever I want. So those are my comments, and back to net control. KO4RNT.
All right, thank you very much, David. Another vote for the FT70. Yeah, very good. And yeah, Chirp is good, but I have RT system software for my ICOM 2730 and my Yaesu FT991A. I think it's interesting that Michael, one of the reasons he has multiple HTs is he said he enjoys the challenge of programming them, and I bet he doesn't use any software for that. So if you're ever at an in-person event and you're stumped by your radio and how to program it, just hand it to Michael, and I bet you he can set you straight.
Learn it at home.
All right. Next we go to Jim, W4PKR. Jim, please share your comments with us.
Good evening, Scott, and everyone on the net tonight. I have a total of 3 HTs. One is on loan to my cousin, who has yet to get on the air. She's been a ham now for 2 years, but hasn't had time. They're all Yaesu. The one I loaned out was my very first rig. I'm getting my license in 2003. That's the DX5, nice tongue-sized little rig. Then I got the FT60, and I agree with Scott, KO4 KAD. It's built like a tank. It takes a licking, keeps on ticking, and it's easy to program by hand. And then I have the Yaesu FT3D, which I got because it has ACRS and fusion capabilities, both of which I hardly ever use. But with each radio that I get, including my handheld scanners, I have adapters from SMA to DNC so that I can easily attach and detach various antennas without worrying about screwing them in and out, which can ultimately, over time, be bad for the radio. It's quicker also. We're going to let it drop for a second. Antenna of choice is the Diamond RH77 CA with a BNC connector on it. I do have a roll-up J-pole, one that I made years ago when I was living up in Cape Cod with the ham radio club there. We had a build at night. I don't even know where it is. Then I have a, I think it's N9TX or something that I got from eBay, which was recommended by some folks down here. I keep that in the car, and the BNC connector as well. So that's my collection, and for now, that's plenty. And with that, I'll send it back to KO4UOR, Scott and Fruit. This is W4PKR.
All right, thank you very much, Jim. So, let's see. I don't know that Michael mentioned both things, but if he did, you may be the first one to not mention having it one or more Bofangs. But anyway, yeah, that's a good reminder. I need to invest in adapters to DNC. The roll-up J-pole has DNC connectors and an adapter that fits the Bofang, but let's see, if I had that. Yeah, I probably need adapters for the whip antenna I use as well. So it can be put on with that bayonet connection instead of having to screw it in. And David, I apologize, I forgot to acknowledge your new Yaesu 400. Congratulations, and I'm glad it is turning out to be a great new radio for you. All right, this is KO4UOR calling the District 1 Aries Net. Next on our list is Brian, W4BPS. Brian, please tell us about any and all HTs you own and why you like them or don't like them.
The market.
Cigars?
Huh?
Cigars?
W4BPS, KO4UOR. Are you still on frequency, Brian? It's your turn to share your comments with the net.
This HD battery died. Lasted about 40 minutes. Or less.
Okay, nothing heard from Brian. He may take a phone call or something. And that was me chunking the repeater. That's a trick that sometimes helps if a weaker signal is having difficulty getting the attention of the 543 repeater. All right.
We're not supposed to talk about that on the air.
Out from Gloucester. That's pretty incredible. I wonder what antenna he was using. Next, we're going to go to Jeff. Jeff is, I think, Prince George County. And I apologize. I only have your suffix, Yankee Victor Victor. Please give us your call sign and tell us about your HT. Over to you, Jeff. That signal was very noisy. That transmission was very, very noisy. I wasn't able to copy any of it for certain. So if you could bump up your power or get in the best position possible and try again. Over to you, Jeff.
This is what. That's a great HT there. Let's avoid that one.
Something about Yaesu. So I think you have at least one Yaesu. Maybe that's your only HT. If you wanted to say more, please try again now.
You're not gonna make it. No, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. Baofeng.
William, please share your comments with the net.
It's my turn. KO4UOR from K4ARX. I am not on an HT, and you know how many I have. I have a dozen radios. I don't use any aftermarket products. I don't use any accessories. I think they're just fine on their own. I only use the HTs when I'm portable. Probably will be doing that after the net. Gonna go for a walk. And that's about it. Back over to you, K4ARX.
You know what? You need to warn me next time.
Right. Thank you for that,
I've been
William.
recording for 45 minutes.
Interesting. So you use the antennas that come with the radios, and
It's hard to know.
I'll have to be honest. I've heard a lot of people say, the first thing you should do when you get an HT is take the rubber ducky off and throw it away. But
No, the first thing you do is read the manual.
My rubber ducky
Learn how to use it.
thing did a pretty good job. The Nagoya whip does better, but not better, at least anecdotally. I haven't done any serious testing. But yes, William does have quite a collection of radios. If you've ever seen photos from RVA Ham Slack or any of his YouTube videos,
Like, comment, subscribe.
he's always got a lot of audio from a lot of different signals. All right, this is Kilo Oscar 4, Uniform Oscar Romeo, calling the District 1 Aries Net. We are at the bottom of the list again. Are there additional stations wishing to check in? If so, I need your call sign phonetically and your first name. Please call now.
Pre-check.
Okay, go ahead, recheck.
Yeah, Scott, KN4VA. Yeah, I wanted to say that I absolutely have several Baofengs. In fact, I've actually smoked one a few months ago. I put it on APRS, I put it on a high duty cycle, and yeah, I ended up smoking it at the antenna. It was crazy, but that's true. And I've actually been replacing some of the UV5R series type radios with some of the newer ones that have the USB-C connection on them, so it's easier to charge, and I'll have to keep up with the chargers for it. So, and I do use stock antennas on all of my radios. I've never had to worry about putting on other antennas and spending that kind of money because they do just fine. So, just turn it back over to you, Scott. KN4VA, back to net control.
After all those Baofeng he bought, he could have bought one good Yaesu. At
All
once.
right, Michael, thank you for that additional information. Very interesting. I was kind of impressed by Jim's collection of antennas. Roll-up J-pole and a diamond main antenna. Oh yeah, those are 7.
It'll be okay over there.
Okay, once again, we're at the bottom of the list. Before I go through the closing portion
Got it?
of the
See how that
script,
is?
are
What's wrong with
there
that?
any additional stations wishing to check in? Any
Unacceptable.
stations that have checked in, wanting
It's
to recheck,
cracked
any
open.
additional comments?
Yes.
If so, please call
She's
now.
also he's right outside, and it's really important to her. He's like, all right.
And he
And it becomes
closes it.
fun.
loaded and ready to shoot that guy.
I was trying to watch it considering you're recording.
That's probably the most humorous part of that movie.
Huh?
That's probably the most humorous part of that movie.
Control acknowledges W4ZAK, John. Good evening, John. I hope you heard the topic is HT. How many do you have? Why do you have so many or so few? And what do you like about them? And what is your favorite antenna to use? Yeah. Over to you, John.
I'm ready.
Even the Halo thing?
I have a Yaesu.
I love that.
All right. Thanks for the warning.
Yeah, really.
Typical dad joke.
And I heard you say that you have a Yaesu and an Anytone, and then you said you also have 3. I'm thinking you were going to say Baofangs, but your signal is very low. I don't know if you can get in a better position or bump the power, but let me turn it back over to you for your comments again, if you don't mind. KW4ZAK from KO4UOR. John, we weren't able to make out much of your first transmission. If you want to try once again, please do so now. Nothing heard. He may have been getting to the end of a battery or something. But we've had 14 check-ins tonight, including myself. And thank you all for sharing your comments about HTs. Let's see. Okay. Other than EmCommNet that are called during the week on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Nope, that one is not operational any longer. That was the park, the N4POW training net. I hope it comes back. Also on Monday nights, the Goochland County EmCommNet meets at 8 p.m. on the 147.27 repeater, Gum Springs. On Tuesday nights, the Dinwiddie County Aries Net meets at 1900 at 7 p.m. on the 147.390 repeater. And also on Tuesday nights, the Chesterfield Aries Net meets at 9 p.m. and is called by David, KN4LQN, on 147.360. In addition, on Tuesdays, please check into the Chesterfield County Aries WinLink Net. More information is available at chesterfieldares.us. chesterfieldares.us. On Wednesdays, all day long, you can check into the WinLink Wednesday Net by sending a message to David, KN4LQN, at winlink.org. Also on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., the Tri-Cities EmCommNet meets on 147.390, the 147.390 repeater. All right. Well, thank you to everyone that checked in tonight. I truly appreciate it. And let's see. Okay. We already talked about how many check-ins we've had. Next week, we should be over on the RATS repeater, 146.88. I will now proceed to close the net. But before I do, I would like to thank all those stations who participated and the stations that stood by to give us the time for this net. The District 1 Aries net is now closed, and this repeater is returned to regular amateur radio use.
Oh, yeah.
73
good radio.
everyone. This is Kilo
That ain't no
Oscar
Balfang.
for Uniform Oscar Romeo, and I'll be clear and monitoring. Good night.
Good night.
Oscar 4, Uniform Oscar Romeo, says Whiskey 4 Zulu Alpha Kilo.
Hey, John, welcome back. Much stronger signal. I'm sure some of us are still on frequency, so share your comments if you would.
I will. I was on HTs earlier, but apparently they just weren't getting through, so I moved into the kitchen where my mobile unit is. I've got a number of HTs. I have a Yaesu, an Anytone. I actually have 3 Baofeng HTs and 3 Baofeng mobiles. I usually use the Baofengs because they're easy to use and they're usually reliable to stand by. The reason for multiple handy talkies is when I do an event like the UCross 10K or the marathon, I don't want to rely on just one HT. If it goes out, I'm stuck in the car using the mobile, I'd like to have an extra HT. channels, like in the marathon, I was listening to the RaceNet on the headset, but I had MedNet in my pocket just to keep track of what's going on. Good evening, everyone who's still on the net. This is Whiskey 4 Zulu Alpha Kilo 73.
That's the way I do it.
That's very interesting, John. I'm surprised that reason didn't come up, but that's an excellent one. I mean, it's great to have an HT with you, but it's even better to have two because we all know that batteries fail, radios fail. I was curious, you mentioned 3 Bofang HTs and 3 Bofang mobiles. What are the Bofang mobiles? I'm not sure I'm familiar. Go ahead.
I believe it's the 50 UV5. That's a 50-watt mobile unit with UHF, VHF. I had one in the car, but I'm going to leave my ICOM in the car. I have a 2300 in there now. I'm going to put one of the bell fans in the basement in the weather hole and probably mount a second one with my ICOM in the kitchen. And the third one is just a floater, over.
Okay, Roger. Wow. You have a wealth of radios, it sounds like. Well, yeah, thank you for switching radios and getting back to us. I was surprised when I wasn't hearing you well. So, yeah, your signal, of course, is full scale now. KO4UOR.